What is up, everyone? Today we are playing some Doodle Empires. This is episode... I don't even know, honestly. I haven't recorded this in a few days. Alright, let's do this. Alright, Video Worlds 11. Okay. We're on episode 12 then. Alright. Okay, we're good. Alright. Expect this video to be different, because I have not recorded in a while. Turn 900. This might be the final episode. Okay. The Persians are going to do something. Let's see what they do. They found a religion. Okay. Alright, I'm excited. So basically, following the death of the Empress, and basically all the events that happened in the previous episode or two, the Persians don't realize that the religion they had was devoted to the Empress, and now she's dead, there's no point in following her anymore, so they will go back to Persian Taoism. Persian Taoism was their religion for a while. It's like well, obviously it's the Persian version of Taoism, and Taoism is the oldest religion on this app. Let me put this in the full screen. Okay. So basically the oldest religion on this map is, I'm pretty sure, Taoism. Let me see though. Let's see, Taoism is 840 years old, nearly 512 years old. Second Persian Taoism. Yeah, classical Taoism is 800 years old. As for the fort map, as you can see, there's a ton of forts. Let's go to the origin mode right before we end this. Like, get to the actual campaign, we'll just call it. So we have Egypt, which is just insane. The Caucasians are... hold on, the Caucasians have existed for... let me think, hold on. I'm pretty sure since, like, the 70... something's like the 70. Like, turned 70, I think, which is insane. We have Kuwait. Oh, yeah, I remember. Kuwait is nearly 800 years old? I honestly forgot how old Kuwait is. I honestly forget how old the countries are, because I haven't done this in a while. Alright, anyways, alright, let's get back to it. Let's see who marches on. Alright, southwestern lands will be large expand, and since they can't go here, they will spearhead towards this little lake, and they will then connect up with this lake, and will try to annex all this land. Next up, the Persians will move yet again, and they will build a castle. And where did they build this? The answer is right here. They built it on this border. This will be known as the Iran-Turkey border. And the reason why this is important is because, as we know, so in terms of power rankings, I'll go over them. So I don't think Persia's most powerful anymore, because they lost their best general. And they've gone through a lot of emperors at this point. I mean, they're not weak or anything, but I mean, they're not as strong as they used to be. I'd say the Greco-Anatolian Republic is probably the strongest. That or Egypt. Egypt is probably the strongest because Egypt has all of this. So I'd argue Egypt is probably number one. Also, that's because of how their government's way older. I mean, the difference is 18 years, but this leader is divisive, so they're gonna have more trouble holding, like, this area especially. This area is, as we all know, very contested by the Cypresians, who, I mean, basically the Cypresians have autonomy in these areas, but they don't have a country, because, you know, no one wants to see Cyprus rise up for, like, 40th time. They've rose up, like, 6 times in this series. It's crazy how many times they've just popped up. The Caucasians are probably the, I'd say the 4th strongest. But in terms of, like, soft power, I say the Caucasians are the most powerful. But in terms of military, it's probably the Egyptians. I say this because the Caucasians have the best relations with everyone. They have good relations with pretty much everyone they border. They're an old nation. They're very good with mediating. They're also a very good relation with the Persians. But anyways, alright, southwestern land will have a new leader. Now, one thing I would like to mention, by the way, this is not the same guy who ruled Cyprus. The southwestern lands, like, grew a bunch of tribes. because the Caucasians are still, like, ruled by a bunch of nomadic, like, I guess, lords, if you will, like, nomadic leaders. So, like, for instance, this would be known as the, let's call it the Caspian region, let's just say. The Azov region, stuff like this, we'll just say, is, like, their region names. So, like, this was the region. I forgot where their capital is. I think their capital's, like, around here. I think, like, right here, like, right where these two lakes are. The Caucasians are probably the strongest in terms of, like, overall. I'd say in terms of military, and in terms of power in regards to this area, definitely the Egyptians. Alright, let's see. Okay, new nation is formed up, and the question is where, because as you can tell, a lot of the valuable land has been taken over. In the new nation, it will form right here. And this new nation will be known as Albania. And the reason why this nation forms is because basically, as we all know, Balkan nations want their independence. At this point, they're tired of being part of Greece, and so the Greek government will reluctantly give some of these guys independence. So we will see the Albanians, they will take over this. They will unify with the Montenegrins. This new nation is Albania, and Albania is, the Greeks don't really want that to deal with this, but they know that they're not in the best scenario right now, because remember, this is a very unstable thing. The reason why is because as we know, these two, Turkey literally collapsed like 3 times, I think, and Greece really went through a massive civil war. I mean, the Egyptians literally took over Cyprus, Crete at one point. Southwestern lands of a medium expand. They will take this area over. And what they're doing is they're basically just saying, and they're basically just expanding their trade route with the, what do you call them? The Egyptians, that's what I called them. Alright, let's see what happens next. Alright, the Albanians will have a union. And the Albanians will not unite with anyone. This is because no one wants to unite with them. They just frowned it. Let's see what happens next. Egypt will build a castle. This is a pretty smart decision. If I were Egypt, I would do this. And they will build it right here. This is because they're quite worried about the Qataris having Somalia. Or that's the word, because they know the Persians have this area, so they want to prevent that. So they will build it right here. Somali fort. The Albanians will have a medium expand. They will march into Greece. A lot of people will join their cause, and at this point, they will get to right here. And so, the Greeks and the Turks are starting to get really worried. But they think, honestly, they don't really care if they lose this area, this, like, northern area. Honestly, as long as they get to keep their control over this area, then they're really fine. I mean, they also wouldn't mind leaving, like, all this. Like, they want the border to be roughly, like, this and this. So they only want, like, stuff up to here, basically, is what they want. Because they really don't want to have to get into wars. Let's see what Persia will do. Persia will have a small expand. And Persia will basically kind of spark a war. I say kind of because they're sending their troops into this region of Somalia. And this is marked with a lot of anger. The Egyptian government will then proceed to take over this fort, and they will then start marching into Somalia. They do not want the Persians to get this. And they will be successful, pushing them all the way back here. However, the Persians will have a medium expand, and they will just push the Egyptians back. At this point, it's starting to get to war, as you can tell. Oh, and they will adopt a religion. They'll stick with Libyan Islam. Anyways, alright. Following that short interruption, the Persians will just continue to march. However, the Egyptians not let this happen. Just back and forth until they take over these islands, and this sparks war between the two. So the Triple Kingdom will join the war on the Egypt side, and then the Persians will be aided by Caucasia. The Turks decide to temporarily remain neutral. However, the Egyptian government will send the Albanians aid, and basically saying, if you guys jump the Greeks and Turks, basically they say that we'll supply you, and so the Albanians will join on Egypt's side, and Turkey will join on the So basically, the the three old powers are fighting up against these two. Well, actually, yeah, they're fighting these two who are younger, if you will. Oh yes, and the southwestern lands is on Egypt's side, but I mean, th- you're not getting to invading this. No one's invading this. Anyways, all right. So the war will start, and the first move is the Persian government with a medium expand, and they will march along this fort, and they will start to just completely eviscerate the army of the Triple Kingdom. They will get to here. However, the Triple Kingdom will. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, we're good. So they will then successfully take over these islands. They will skirmish with the Persian navy. The Persian army is much stronger than the Persian navy, but they have the advantage, the Qataris. So they will then take over these coastal regions. They will take over these small islands. They will then land, and this is a huge blow to their navy. This is where most of their navy was stationed. This basically cripples the Persian naval operations in the region. They will be successful in pushing them out. They will then, what they will then do is, so they debate whether or not to land over here. So they decide to. They will be successful. They will do They will do 2 beachheads, and then the Greco-Anatolians will have it. All right. Are you guys kidding me? Come on, guys. Alright, as I was saying, the Greek Anatolians will start pushing up against Albania. They will be successful in taking over this lake, and they will get very close, but they will not take over the entire country. The Albanians will respond with a quite large counteroffensive. They will regain nearly everything. And then meanwhile, we have the Egyptians. Okay, they'll have a new leader. And he will have a small expand. He will march into Crete, seizing the entire island quite easily. He will take this area over. And he will then march here. Here. He'll take over these small Greek islands. And this is because Tim and the Albanians are planning to do a joint invasion of Greece. But we'll see that later. Alright, so then the Egyptians will use their army. They don't attack Turkey. And this is because so basically the Turks are kind of supposed to be like the Russia of this war, if you will, because they're unstable. Their leader is somewhat unpopular. Or I guess you could say it's Austria-Hungary, actually. It's just like Austria-Hungary, basically. It's 2 ethnicities. They're somewhat unstable. They have a bunch of Slavs who want, well, I don't know if the Albanians are Slavs, but they want independence. And these two are actually pretty competent in comparison. Whereas the Egyptians, the Triple Kingdom in the southwestern lands, they all just want to weaken these guys because they know that if a conventional war, they know that they're taking over these guys. The Egyptians know that they're never gonna be able to. They're never gonna be able to fully take over this. Meanwhile, the Persians know that they won't be able to fully subjugate these guys, so they might be able to, but it'll take them an insane amount of manpower, which I don't think they have. The Iran Republic is mostly just a connecting area between these two. The Caucasians, mostly just want to make sure that the Persians don't get taken over, because the Caucasians really are good friends with the Persians. And because of this, that's the reason why Caucasia joined the war, because Caucasia is a pretty neutral nation, at least, before this crazy stuff was happening. But anyways, let's get back to it. So the Egyptians will then do one more invasion. They will get to here. They will then decide what do we do next. Now, once again, they're not pushing into Turkey. They're not going to do that. So what they do instead is they will decide to push into the Somalian lands. And then these guys went, I think, did these guys go? Yeah, they did. The Caucasians are just mostly going to, just send supplies. The Caucasians are actually gonna, actually fight. The Caucasians are sending their armies to help, but they're not actually fighting. Like, what they're doing is, so they're basically setting up a defensive perimeter over, like, along this area. Like, that's what they're doing. They're sending most of their army. They're, like, teaching the Turkish people how to, like, entrench their positions, because the Caucasians do an insane amount of entrenchment. They're very skilled at that. They were, like, the first country to adopt that. I guess, you could say, type of warfare. They're, like, the main nation that entrenches themselves. Just think about it. You have a lot of mountains and rivers and lakes, and this makes it pretty difficult for a nation to invade you. This is part of the reason why Caucasia has never managed to lose a war. The Caucasians will build a castle, and this is mostly to ensure that this area is safe. And what they will do is, so where they build it, is they will build it right here. And this is going to be the Persia, Caucasia road. And basically this is like a road that connects these two. Anyways. Alright, the Albanians will start marching over again. They will build a castle, and they will build it right here. And this will be known as the in-between. This will be known as the valley. This is because this is a quite flat portion that divides the river and this. And the Albanians know that if they hold this, then they'll be able to survive the Greeks. Alright, the Egyptians and their allies will start to move. Egypt will get a large expand. And here's what they do. So they will land right over here, and they will spark mass casualties. They will take over nearly all of this. I think this is Peloponnesian Island. I think it's what it is. I think it's Peloponnesia, this area. But anyways, the Egyptians are doing quite well, as you can tell. Next, we move on to the Triple Kingdom. Alright, call this. Give me a second. I can get to sneeze. Okay. Alright, let's just call this, I don't know, Triple Monarchy. We'll just call it. Just give me a second. Okay, we're back. Anyways, the Albanians will build yet another castle. This will be on their southern flank. I just said flake. I meant to say flank. And this is mostly to ensure that this area can't be attacked. So as you can see, looking at the fort map, this is a very good idea. Most of their border is heavily defended, so the Greeks are probably not going to march along this. However, the Egyptians are going to have a lot of trouble taking this area, but the Albanians might just be able to, lock these guys off, like block them. Alright, so... Alright, let me... they've moved... Okay, the Greco-Anatolians will move. They'll have a small expand, and they can't really do much. They will mostly fight back over here. They will be successful. They will not kick them out fully. Meanwhile, the Persian military will have a union, and they will unite with the Inner Iran Republic. And then they'll have a new leader. Basically, what happened was the emperor, I think it's Solomon, if I remember correctly. So what happened was, I think I mentioned this, but the Persians So basically, their emperors and empresses are actually like the supreme commanders. They're actually at war, like fighting. So he was basically fighting over here, and he died. That's why they have a new emperor. The Persians will use this opportunity, and they will be successful in pushing back one beachhead, and they will also be successful in pushing back the other one. This front is completely just there's nothing's moving over here. The Qataris are fighting hard to keep this area, and the UEA's navy is fighting up hard against this area. They're making sure they don't get invaded. The Omani leader is hoping to invade here. Alright, I think we've gone over every side. Oh yeah, once again, the Caucasians are just supplying. They're not actually like fighting yet. If it gets that serious, then I'll obviously, start making, offensives. But right now, they're mostly just helping with logistics and stuff. I mean, they're active in the war. Don't get me wrong. They're sending troops. They're fighting. They're just not like officially like having any fronts. They're not active on any actual front. It's like basically they're like, if you will, they're basically mostly there for logistic purposes. I mean, they're very good with logistics. The Caucasians. Anyways, the Egyptians will restart their offensive, and they will be successful. Not as successful as last time. They will get yet another large expand, and they will be successful, albeit they'll take them a lot of manpower, but they are successful in taking over this area. They get to right here, and they will start marching. And their plan is to secure Athens at all costs. The Albanians of a small expand, they will link up with their ally. And they will start marching up here. So the Caucasians are fueling aid. They're making sure that these guys are safe. By the way, the Egyptians are making sure not to invade this area. They do not want the Cyprians to have any ideas. The Egyptians have moved. Let's go over their ally. Triple Kingdom, let's see what they do. Have a small expand, so what they do is they will be successful in retaking this entire island. This is a good victory for them, because remember, taking over this makes your war 20 times easier. And the Persian Navy at this point, I mean, it's barely alive. It has like a few ships, but it's been weakened beyond belief. Meanwhile, they will then send their army into the distracted, because the Persians had to move much of their army to fight the beachheads, so they will regain most of this coast, but they must want to get back up to this fort. They want to get up here. Alright, the Caucasians, once again, they're doing logistics. Alright, I've gone over these two. I think I've gone over the... I'm gonna go over I've gone over these guys. Alright, it's the Persians' turn. Alright, look at Small Expand, good for them. Alright, what they do is... So, they will try to take this island yet again, and this time they will be successful. They will be successful in liberating all of this. And they then debate, should we invade this? And the question is, now here's the thing. If they do, this will be a very risky invasion. This is because, obviously, they can easily get blockaded. But the Persian general, the main general, not the emperor, he will greenlight this, and they will be successful. So he would take over much of this, and he nearly cuts them apart. So the war is slowly shifting. But the Egyptians will have something to say about this. What I mean is, they will just start doing mass attacks on the Greco-Anatolians. They want to distract Caucasians. They want to distract the Caucasians because they want them to not be aiding the Persian. Part of the reason why they're doing so well is because of Caucasian aid. So they will just make sweeping gains. They take Athens, which is the capital of the Greek portion of this nation. And at this point, it is not looking good for the Greco-Anatolians. They will start making landings. But in the meantime, your Anatolians will attempt something, and they'll get medium expand. They'll successfully push them off of this. They'll push them out of Anatolia. However, they will not be able to take over any of these islands. They're like stuck. They will be successful in seizing this small area, but they will be stopped around here. The Turks will attempt the landing of Crete, but they will not be successful. Alright, the Egyptian king, the new Egyptian leader, I should say, he built a new fort, and he will build it right here. This will be known as the Greek fort, and this is to ensure that the Greeks can't get back over here. He wants to get up to this river. He builds yet another castle. He will build it right here. Because he obviously wants to ensure that the Turks can't retake this area. Now let's see the Egyptians actually fight. Okay, finally. The Egyptian military realizes they are ready. They will push into Crete. And they will then be successful in pushing these guys back to the river. And this is a pretty big blow, unsurprisingly, to the Turkish and Greek morale. Nearly all of Greece is under the control of the hostile powers. They will be successful in getting up to here. They will then do a risky landing. This will be successful. They will get up to here. Now, logistically, they're doomed. These guys are not going to be able to push these guys back at this point. They've got an insane amount of territory. The Albanians will make it even worse. They will be successful in pushing even further. I've gone over these two. I've gone over these two. Triple Kingdom will build a castle. This is mostly for desperate measures. They'll build it right here. They will then have a union. But obviously they will not unite with anyone because they're at war right now. Triple Kingdom will have a large expand, and they will be successful in pushing the Persians out completely. They'll retake this area. They will then start marching up here. And they will then basically negate the Persian army's gains. And this is quite a blow to the Persian morale, because remember, the Persians got up to here at one point. I think they were up to like around here, I think, if I remember correctly. They got up to here, but now they're basically at the square one, the Persians. And the Triple Kingdom will get a ton of extra manpower from this. Jim will have a large expand. They will be successful in completely annihilating any Persian divisions in Somalia. The Egyptians will then spend the other part. They'll then spend more of their army resources into securing this. And at this point, they've taken over Western Anatolia, and they've nearly cut off these guys entirely. The Albanians have a new leader. Then get back to a new leader. They keep switching leaders. A new nation will form. And okay. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore that. Thrace will form, and the reason why it is basically, so you know how I mentioned these guys are basically doomed? They're doomed. And a new nation, Thrace, will form. And then, to make matters even worse, another new nation forms. At this point, I don't even know what you're gonna say. The Anatolians are back. And the Caucasians will start sending insane amount of aid to these guys. Because remember, Caucasians are the only country speaking Anatolian. They're the only country to use the Anatolian language. They're the only ones to have the Anatolian culture. They're the only ones. Alright, the Persians have a large expand. And what they will do is they will reinvigorate their troops. They will push further, and they will also force these two divisions. These two divisions are quite big, and they're forced over here. But the Qataris are sending aid to keep them fighting. Alright, the Greco Anatolians will have a new leader. He's overthrown the former leader, and Mustafa is new leader, and this new nation will become known as the Republic. I think this is like the fourth Turkish Republic. This new Turkish Republic will now have a new color. It will be this color of red. Okay, perfect. This new Turkish Republic will encourage a union with Thrace, and they will then leave the war. However, before they do leave the war, they will take over this. They will take over the Anatolians. And they will also. So they're planning on. They want to push these guys out. Although they won't be able to, they will be successful in mostly pushing these guys back. And now, they will formally leave the war after seizing all of this. These are new borders. And basically, what the treaty is basically, so the Egyptians and the Albanians can take over everything up to here, but the Turks get to keep all of this. And the, Egyptian government is like, well, this is a good deal, even though we lost this, we still have we're learning all this land. And so they accept, and the Turkish Republic will also be successful in taking over this up to here. They will take over this river area. The Caucasian government agrees to give it to them as a sign of goodwill. And then the Egyptian government is mostly in the war to take over Turkey, but they also want to, deal with these guys. They will get a new leader. He will have a large expand, and their plan is to march up to here. This is all the land they want. And this is really all the lands. So they will push up to here. They will give Albania the rest. Well, actually, no. What they're planning on doing is they're gonna split it, but they both want to get as much of land as possible. So they're basically just scrambling. They're having their army group. They're having their army groups just take all this stuff over. It's a mad scramble for Turkish land. It's like the scramble for Anatolia, that's what we call it. There's a scramble for Greece. And so now, alright, the Turks have a union. Alright, they have a new leader. They will build a castle. It will be right here. They get yet another new leader. They will take over this small portion of their land that the Egyptians accidentally invaded. Basically, what happened was a few Egyptian army guys. So they basically accidentally walked over the border. The Turkish government told them to leave, and they did. And then the Turkish government just re-annexed the land. That's the in-lore explanation for me misclicking. They will also change the border to be more the border to be better in this area. is a new border. It's not the best, but it'll work for now. And the Albanian will have a small expand. So, the Albanians will leave the war. The Egyptians will, the Egyptians are only aiding these guys at this point. The Caucasians decide to leave the war. In terms of actual fighting. Like, they're mostly just, basically, they're ending the war over here. They're sending their troops back to fight here. Although, before. So basically, in a few turns, their troops will be ready to fight for the Persians. And the with the Egyptian government no longer being distracted, the Persians will do well initially, because once again, Egyptian aid hasn't come yet. It will, just not yet. They will make just insane gains. If the Triple Kingdom will have something to say. Egyptian aid will come rapidly. They do not want their ally to fall, and this aid will allow them to keep pushing. A new nation will form up, and this new nation will happen on Cyprus. I'm just kidding. We're not doing that for the 30th time. Instead, this new nation will form right about here, like right here. So the Anatolian government will basically sign a deal, basically saying we want our independence. The Turks will be like, well, we don't want that. The Caucasian government will then say, we will not hesitate to invade you. The Caucasians care deeply about the Anatolians. So, they were very upset when the Turks invaded them. The rebel group, they were very upset. And, so, yeah, they would be forced to accept this deal, the Turks, in exchange for not, starting a war. The Anatolians will, just keep marching. And the border is planned to be roughly here, up like here. The Anatolians are just fortifying. And now, these are new borders of Anatolia. The Caucasian government will almost immediately recognize this, and they will send a diplomatic envoy. And they will build their capital right about here, like in this area, like on this lake is where they're building the capital. Or alternatively, they could make it here, because if you're curious, I think this was where they were founded, if I remember correctly. This is where their last stand was. Forgot which, because that was a while ago. But anyways, the Egyptian government will build a fort, another fort, and it will be known as Greco. It's known as the Egyptian Turkish border. I did say we'd get up to 1,000 turns, and that's what we will be doing in this video. And yes, I know I misspelled border. So now the world's at peace again. The Caucasian, a new nation will form up, and the question is, where? Well, the answer is the nation of Pontus will form. And the reason why this thing formed is because basically, a small group over here wants independence. The Turks realize, well, we want to spark war with the Caucasians. I mean, once again, remember, the Caucasians literally threatened war over Anatolia. And so they will accept this, the Turks. Once again, they do not want war. The Triple Kingdom of a new nation will form, and this new nation will form right here. And this is basically supposed to be a buffer zone, if you will. And the reason why this new nation forms is because basically, so the Triple Kingdom is really worried about the Persians, right? So what they do is, they will, because the Persians were successful in holding on to a small area, just barely. So what they do is, they decide to turn this into an independent nation. This will be known as the Central Arabia. This nation is quite small. It was a very small thing they released, roughly here. Oh yeah, speaking of that, the Triple King Age of Conflict will start, and they will have a union. And who would they unite with? They will reunite with Central Arabia. That thing lasts like a year. With a small expand, they will kick the Persians out here. And this is a small skirmish. They will take these islands, and they agree to peace. So yeah, these two are not going back to war. They just fought each other. Right, the Egyptians will have a small expand, and the Egyptians will march along this border to here. Southwest lands will be a large expand. No one wants to fight at this point. Everyone's tired of fighting, so there's not going to be a war. They will form a fort right here. Persian government will link up with their inner area. The Persian government is very happy to finally be linked up with the Caucasians over here, because the way it used to be was, so basically the Persian capital is, if I remember correctly, it's like around here, I think it's like right here, let's just say. This is the Kuwaiti capital, don't forget that. So basically, what they have to do is, the Persians, they would have to send goods either through Kuwait or to go through here. And this took a while. But now, since they have this, they have like a trading network now in the West. Because the West was relatively underdeveloped. I mean, not much happened, except for that one time it got invaded. But aside from that, this area has been pretty unimportant. But now it has importance. They will expand this trade route to make sure it doesn't get taken over. But granted, pretty much no one's going to push into this. The Caucasians are extremely strong. I mean, they're the by far most intact nation after the war. The Southwest lands are don't even have an army. They're like being protected by the Egyptians. And literally, no one cares about these guys. I mean, the only people with relation with them is Egypt. No one cares enough to have relation with them. Alright, the Caucasians will be medium expands. And what they do is, they will take over this river area. This is because they're concerned about the Turkish government, because they know that the Turkish government is, I mean, it's more stable than it was earlier, but it still is pretty unstable. So basically, in order to ensure that their border with the Persians is safe, that's what they will do. Turkish Republic, a small expand. What they do is, so they will be, what they do is, they basically push up against this river again. What they do is they invite the Caucasian government over to discuss a new border. And they will settle on roughly something that looks like this. It's not exactly the prettiest border, but it'll work. Southwestern lands will build a castle. Alright, final 8 turns. I'm not gonna stop making this. Basically, what I'm gonna do is, if you guys want me to make more videos on this when we hit turn 1,000, I definitely will, but right now, I'm not gonna record any videos on it. So you'll be seeing this, I think, on Christmas. Yeah, you'll be seeing this on Christmas. I think you guys thought I was recording it. If you guys didn't notice, I'm recording this on August 11th. So yeah, you'll be seeing this in 4 months. which is insane to think about. By the time this video drops, I'll probably have a season 2 of this. But anyways, let's go over, alright, final 7 turns. Pontus will have a land connection with the Anatolians. The Albanians will have a medium expand. They get up to here. They will then settle a border dispute. They will basically take over this. They'll have a union. Alright, the Egyptians will have a new leader. And have a small expand. And what happens is they will take over all of this. And they will settle on a rough new border. And the reason why the border changes is because basically the Egyptian government knows that the Turks are unstable. I mean, they're not so unstable they're gonna collapse tomorrow, but they're just not in a good state. So basically, in exchange for agreeing to help defend them, they will get all of this. Additionally, they will annex most of Cyprus. A new leader. And have one more large expand. It will take over what remains of Cyprus. And the last thing we do. Alright, we're not gonna do a new nation yet. This is gonna be the final turn, I think. I'm just gonna reshape the border. A bit anticlimactic, I know, for the final turn of this, but this is a new border. It's not the best, but it'll work. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. This is going to be, at least for now, the final episode of what I'm going to call Season 1 of this. This is Season 1, but I have no problem with making more episodes. If you guys want me to make more episodes, I gladly will. So please tell me in the comments if you do. I mean, even if you guys don't tell me, you guys want more episodes, I probably will, eventually. I mean, I like doing this, but I think I'll switch to a new map, because it's getting a bit boring doing the Middle East over and over again. So, that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. You guys probably won't, you're probably not going to see any video of this for, I don't know. You guys might see a new video of this in like January, you guys might not see it for like a year. I have no idea, but I would like to say thank you for watching. This video is 50 minutes. That's actually incredible. So, with that being said, I'm just gonna save my game. Call it Video World 12. Video World Middle East. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete everything before this. Alright, so before we end the video. Yep. 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 And yep. So now I am just going to save just one more time. Alright. I'm just gonna make sure the save works. So I don't want to lose this. Alright, let's load this. Yep, we're good. Let me just make sure. Yep. Alright, with that being said, one more time, I hope you will like this video. You might see more episodes of this. I don't know when. I don't even know if we will, but we probably will. I don't know when, but I'll probably make more episodes. That being said, bye guys.